Okay, we are back to talk about Survivor. It was another good episode. This is episode 8. But I just don't know how I feel, so I feel like we need to talk about it.
I think because of the outcome, it kind of affected the way I feel about this episode. Because up until this point, it's been the same. It's been like on point, like the editing, the drama has been good. I think this is one of the better tribal councils that we've had. But coming off of last episode, it felt kind of anticlimactic.
Yeah. And it was also just, I just was like, oh, okay. Like,
It's like watching the week after a double eviction. You're like, this feels like I'm not getting like the same. Like, yeah. You can't match what happened the week before.
Yeah.
In a way.
Yeah. Like, I feel like by next week we'll have adjusted.
Yeah.
And we can accept if it's similar to this week. But coming off of last week, going into a week like this was just sort of like,
like, I think this is going to be a good setup episode for the next 2 probably episodes, because, well, let's just talk about one. Shan is probably gonna go.
I'm drinking my moon milk melatonin hot chocolate, and it's got some marshmallows in it, so if I'm chewing, just don't judge me.
I think I had like moon milk tea or something and I didn't really like it, or maybe it was something else.
This is like blueberry. It's good.
I think it was just like plain moon milk or whatever it was.
Yeah.
But how does this episode even start? It's basically just fallout from the whole meeting.
Yeah, and then they have the reward competition, or what is it called?
The immunity challenge?
No, the first one where they win like food.
I guess it's a reward challenge.
Right?
They won basically grilled cheese and chips.
And
yeah.
Yeah. But people were there's some people that are really struggling with the food. Shan.
Well, to be fair, Shan she's
been on the short end of the stick with food the whole time.
Yeah, and Ricard has been the only one of them too to have won both the merge feast and then also now this reward challenge. So like, I understand why Shan is like, why are you coming up here after you just had...
Okay, but she needed to calm down. I get it though, hangry. I probably would have felt the same way, but also
I mean, if you think about, I understand both points of view. I understand like coming up, he only took like one little piece of papaya. And everyone was like, oh my God, there's papaya on the island, whatever. Like, I also understand from Shan's point of view, this is pretty much all I have to eat and probably some rice. Like, you got to eat grilled cheese and chips. Like, go find your own like papaya or something.
Well, yeah, but it's also like, but you didn't even find the papaya, Nasir did.
Yeah, and I think
so. It's like it's another version of what becomes a problem more on, where it's like she has to be. It's like her way or the highway. I decided that was wrong, so it's wrong. If it was the other way around, it would have had to be right. And she's being very good socially manipulating people, but acting like this is starting to rub certain people.
Deshawn. She did the same thing to Deshawn, kind of. We're like, that's another thing where I got both points of view, because Deshawn was like, well, I feel like you didn't let me speak, or you didn't even let me get my opinion across. And it's like, no, she let you speak, but she's making sure like she doesn't think that that's a smart idea.
But it's also,
I think it's like
the leader. I thought we were a group. Why are you? Because if you think about it, I don't know that she's probably saying it in a way that makes like Liana and what's the name of the other guy in there?
Danny.
What is it?
Danny,
yes. I feel like she's saying it in a way that they are thinking, oh yeah, that makes sense. Like, this is our idea as well, even though it could be, but for the most part, it's probably her idea. And when it comes to Deshawn, it's not translating the same. So for them, it's like they're just following her lead. And with him, he's like, why are you the leader? Like, we should be communicating. I don't feel like the other two communicated. They just sort of were like following her lead or being manipulated into thinking it was you know how people can make you think that their idea was your idea so that you're on board with it. And
I get.
I was the only one that was like, I have a different opinion. I want to talk about it. And she was like, yeah, that's great. No. And then nobody else was like even considering it. Like she led that whole conversation. She shut it all down. He had no chance.
But Danny was the one that brought up like getting out Nasir. And then Shan was like kind of like talking with him better than she talked about the situation with Deshaun, because Deshaun kind of came up. Danny was like, I just mentioned like throwing out Nasir. And Deshaun was like, oh, 100%, like, let's do it. And then I think that's why Shan kind of was like, whoa, 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 like, we can't just like all of a sudden like mention this one person and then immediately say like, oh yeah, without talking about it. But I think
it didn't come
doing that, it came off like you don't even care to like acknowledge this.
Or not even just acknowledge, like you can't even consider it for 5 seconds. It was like, I'm right. That's cute. Moving on. Like, okay, but if we're working together, you don't run me. I think it's a clash of it was a communication error. And also just honestly,
Shan's ego.
Huh?
Shan's ego. She has that idol. She survived Uwa and basically ran her whole tribe out. Like,
that's true.
And at this point, Shan is, I would consider her like the top runner for being the winner. At this point, like she's
continue to make it through for sure.
But I just think playing like this, someone like Xander, I really like Xander. Like
he really won me over.
He's super intelligent and like, I don't know, like his plays from last week and the week before where he didn't play the idol.
And then this week, just the whole thing, I'm just like,
he didn't play the idol again.
Yeah, and
like saw his name. Literally saying his name and voting him, and he didn't play it because he knew, like he could just like from hearing conversations and like he could just tell like they're not gonna vote me because they know I'm gonna use it. So and they know that going into it. So why would I use it when going into it they can't change their plans last minute or anything? So I think it was dumb. It was dumb of them to not vote Xander today. Because, okay, Tiffany's out. Cool. Like, what is Tiffany's not? Sorry, what'd you say?
I said they wanted Evie. And it would have probably been Evie. Because she pissed off Xander. But as we, let's just go forward. The immunity challenge, Evie wins. So she's not an option. So then they had to switch it up. And you could even tell Shan was like, I had been working this on people. This was my plan. She was the one person that could not win. And then she switched it up. But then I still don't think what they ended up doing was the right thing. But more threatening, I guess, than who I wanted to go out. But it just, of all the options, not the most threatening. Like it was to me.
I guess it weakens Xander, Evie, like that whole situation. I guess now Heather's kind of lumped into that, but like, does it really?
It wasn't. We would have wanted it to be. I don't know.
This whole like. It's such a hive mind right now, which I kind of hate. It's giving me like, let's all vote the same. I know it's not happening, but like
it's Big Brother, new school Big Brother vibes. And I don't
where it's like
majority all the time, follow the sheep until they use you as a number and cut you. And nobody wants to really branch out on their own. And I don't like that kind of game. I would rather see like a clear divide where it's one half versus the other, or just rogue people doing something. Like I get it. Okay, so here's the thing. Play it safe like that. You might make it a couple more weeks than you would have made it, but it's probably not going to have you win. Do you know what I'm saying? And it's like, cool, you get a little bit more airtime, but I would rather you be on less and try to do something than to just coast by, just to be able to say, oh, I coasted by. Like I was on it for longer. You know, I lasted longer, but you didn't do anything. And
Yeah.
you didn't
Be someone like a Davon on season 17 than a Meg, where Meg made it to jury, Davon didn't. But do you remember Meg from season 17 or do you remember Davon? Like, it's just like these people who
remember Meg getting drunk and like proclaiming her love to who was
James.
it? Huh?
James.
Yeah. No. Was it
Yeah.
James? I don't know, but it was just like she was just like you could tell she was wasted. Like they didn't edit it very well. And she was just like, I just love you. And I was like, oh girl, get out of the bathroom.
The only thing I remember from Meg is her face planting in like the OTEV competition.
Yeah. Like she wasn't awful, but come on. Like, come on.
Mm-hmm.
Who do we remember? Like you said, do you remember Meg or do you remember Davon? If she hadn't drunk, I wouldn't remember Meg. The knockoff Taylor Swift. That's about what I remember.
Like, I feel like I'll remember people like JD better than I will remember someone like a Tiffany or a Heather or a Sydney or like anything like that.
But like a Heather, for sure, I would remember JD over Heather. But she's still here.
I think because of the immunity challenge, obviously 4 people stood out, being, you know, Ricard, Xander, Shan, and Nasir, who are some of the top, you know, people that I would assume would do really good in this. But
yeah, exactly.
I would assume like someone like Ricard or Xander would have won, because Ricard's really good at those physical challenges too.
Yeah, he's been eating.
Honestly, I feel like Ricard's kind of growing on me.
He's growing up a little bit too, but so is Tiffany, and now
I'm
she's
like switching up. Like the people who I kind of didn't like at first, I'm liking more. And I think it's just because there's less options. Like, I don't know.
Because it's less options, or is it because we're getting to see more sides of them? And for me, I always feel like
the evolution of their gameplay and like the evolution of how they are as people. It's like
I don't always like, I feel like for me with people in real life or like someone I'm watching on a show that I'm, you know, following a lot, it's very rare that I'm like off the bat like love you and that never changes. I take time. Like I take time to actually really like become a fan of someone or a close friend to someone. Like a lot of my friendships, I know people say it is cliche, but a lot of mine that are really strong, long lasting friendships did not like, if anything started off like, that bitch is annoying. And that is like the person that was there the day after my child was born to come visit. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and I would have never guessed off the bat, because off the bat, I effed with somebody else. And I would, who is that? I don't talk to that person. That relationship didn't last. And I feel like I have the same thing with like the people that I end up liking on these shows, is like, I'm quick to kind of judge, but my judgments, I mean, my intuitions are good, but like my judgments in those cases can be a little off. Like I forget that I take time. Like I need to see you evolve in the game, do some stuff, see how these other people do stuff. Some people are really good at first impressions. Some people are really good at putting on a show, and some people can make that last. Some people can't. Some people don't put on a show and they end up being the realest people. You know what I mean? So it's just like, I don't know. There's so many, like you said, like Ricard I'm fucking with him more now. Like, and I didn't think I would. Shan is starting to like give me feel like more the way you felt when you were like, God, she's all over the place. And I was like, I don't know. I feel like Mastermind. Now I'm like, I feel like
she's all over the place. Like she's really scrambling. And every time, I forgot who it was. Oh, when she said Heather's name, and Heather was like, why are you doing that? You can't do that. Immediately Shan was like, I didn't do that. Like, I was just going along with what everyone else said. I'm like, you are making yourself look like you are causing a mess right now.
Like, I was like, she getting caught up and she's not hiding it well. And
I know. I'm like, dude, you are gonna screw yourself. And like, honestly, had Shan not had an immunity idol, I 100% would think Danny, Ricard, Deshaun, and even Heather, like this whole episode, just were like, what the fuck with Shan? And the only reason she's safe is because she has the idol.
They're like, somebody needs her and she needs a nap.
I will give her credit for her social manipulation. She is probably the best one there. Like, no one else really has been able to like manipulate people for so long.
Okay, yeah, so I was gonna say Evie was that for a while.
I don't know if she'll be able to get that trust back though.
Yeah, that part. But
she's been screwed.
But they couldn't get her out this week.
That's true.
Came through when she needed herself to come through, because she damn sure did need herself to come through. They was gonna get rid of her. Shan had that process going, and when I watch it on TV, it comes off sloppy. I feel like I would be like, this girl needs to calm down. Something's like, she's doing too much. But for whatever reason, it's working. People are falling. She's running shit.
It's like Vanessa, where you're like, how are they falling for her crying the 15th time? But then they still didn't do anything. Like,
they did every time.
Or she would keep winning.
Yeah.
So, and I know that Shan's capable of winning like a challenge. She's not like, I think that's one thing that like the Survivor team competitions for immunity are very physical, but like things like this, it's not like impossible for anyone to like.
No, but I will tell you, I was watching this immunity challenge and we didn't explain it, but it was basically you had this block that you had to balance on your head that you could kind of balance on like a wooden plank, like because you were on like a.
I think this is like a repeat competition. It's like a popular one, I think.
Oh, okay. Well,
it typically goes for like a while. It's like an endurance.
Okay, well, it wasn't much of an endurance.
I know, it was like a few minutes.
But I was like, but watching it first before I like they panned out, like I was like, oh my God, I could never do, I'm too short. And then I was like, oh, they like do it by your height. They moved the thing up because Erica's was super. I was like, oh, okay, I could do it. And then when they
I was like, oh, like they're all on like their tippy toes. And I'm like, no, that it forces you to be on your tippy toes.
Yeah, that it took me by surprise for a second too, because we've obviously never watched it.
I was like, that's not fair.
I was like, that's not fair. And then I was like, oh, that's like part of the game. But then I was like, if you were ever a dancer,
piece of cake.
I would have won. I could have won that. Standing like, you know how many times for however long that I have had to do that position, and I don't even actually have to be in a good first position. I just like, get to be comfortable because this isn't actually a dance performance. This is just hold yourself up, bitch. I got it. You know what I mean? But I was actually a little surprised by some of the people that lasted. Like I was kind of looking at Heather and I was like, I thought she was going to win. And I was like, she must have been a dancer or something. She has really good balance, because she was really like, Evie looked like she was going to lose it. And for whatever reason, Heather did lose it, but she looked a lot more calm, cool, and collected to me.
Well, that's the thing about this type of competition is like, you can't adjust at all without losing your balance. And so it's like, you find a position, you have to stick with it. It's like the wall comps. I'm sorry, we're just going to reference Big Brother. I'm assuming there's crossover. It's like the wall comps when like they've sprayed a bunch of water and like goo at you, and then you readjust your grip, like you're screwed. You're not going to win. Like unfortunately, you have to stay basically stuck in one position. And if the more you move, the worse your grip's going to be, the worse your balance is.
Yeah, and if started yourself or gotten yourself into a position that is not very sustainable,
you're done.
And
you're done. You're done.
You're done. But it doesn't even mean that you would necessarily be bad at that comp. It's because that added part. And if you happen to be like this, there you go. You know what I mean?
I think overall, the challenge was a little disappointing only because of how short it was.
Yeah, but
The 4 people stepping out was.
They're all fatigued. They're all fatigued.
I will say, once again, Xander kind of comes through for everyone where he's like, what if we get 4? Because then I'll step up. And that basically convinces Ricard to step up, because I think Ricard may have felt bad from the papaya incident. Papaya gate.
That ass thing. That's exactly.
He was like, I'll like smooth things over with Shan, like, and I know I'm not going to go home. So like,
yeah, definitely not on anyone's radar, even though the papaya thing pissed Shan off. He was not going to go.
Shan's smart enough, I think, to know
he still can do
something petty like that is not worth bringing into like a game situation where it's like, maybe we should get rid of Ricard because he took a piece of papaya. It's more of just something that she's complaining about.
Like that's not going to win you the game. You can't play that emotional.
It's like, and she kind of was playing emotional because literally now I'm forgetting, Nasir was the one who got papaya for everyone. And that's kind of the reason why she wanted him to stay. She's like, listen, like, Nasir's doing a bunch of work for all of us. It's not just him. And it's like, why would we keep, that's where it's like, it's not part of the like strategy of gameplay. It's more about the strategy of like, we have no food, like keep Nasir.
Survival.
It's the same thing that she was arguing with herself. Like, do I keep Brad, who's a dangerous threat, but can get us food? Or do I keep JD? Like, I don't know.
Not still, I don't know. But I mean, in the end, it worked out. But I feel like that was still luck. Like, come on. Brad should have stayed. Whatever. That's a different episode. We're past this.
That was like such a blindside. I'm sorry. Like, that's still the biggest blindside. I was like, what?
I was okay, because what the? Like,
that's one thing I don't. Okay, this is one thing that we were talking about off camera. Okay, I feel like we have to like say this every time we watch like something. The manipulation of the edit, I understand. It's a show. You want to build up some suspense and whatever. Purposely misleading the audience that's watching, that should have all the information available, unless it's like a twist. I understand that, but like
you said,
your own twist.
The entertainment part is us watching them be shocked.
Yeah, it's not. It shouldn't be like, oh my gosh, like
you're supposed to know. We are watching it old.
Purposely, like the reason why I'm bringing this up is because they purposely only show talk about, well, I guess we're just gonna go with Heather. Like, let's just switch it to Heather, blah blah blah, and then they stop it, and then it's 5 votes for Tiffany, 2 votes for Heather, and I'm like, either you splice together the footage where they were only talking about Heather and not Tiffany,
or people really just switched up.
Really switched up.
No one looked that shocked, so I feel like they sliced it together. Like they knew they were going to do that.
So that's where I'm like, it's the thing that Big Brother was doing this past season, which was one of the only things I didn't like, was the whole, oh my God, like we're going to do a last minute flip. But the difference was they were actually considering it, and it just never came to be. They're like, this one, it seems very just like Shan being like, oh yeah, let's get rid of Heather, blah, blah, blah. And then like they just cut it to the vote. And then it's like, oh, sorry, Tiffany, you're going home. It's like, that's why I just feel kind of like, after this episode. I'm like, you didn't.
I feel like you tried to make it seem more like the edit wanted to make us think it was as dramatic as like the past week, when it wasn't.
Like, it doesn't need to be dramatic all the time. Like, it could just be like this person is going to be voted out, like, no matter what. Like, I understand, like, there was a last minute thing with Heather, but to completely mislead the vote and then be like, oh my God, that was the episode of Survivor, blah, blah, blah. And it's like,
I was like,
okay. I'll wait till next week until something fun happens, I guess.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm still thinking about last week's episode. I've been seeing a bunch of memes. Xander has a TikTok, by the way, and he was like, he did some funny like TikTok where it was like underage people using like a license to get into a club, and they were like, let me see your license, and he's like, No, but you can have this fake one. It was like really funny.
I love.
And I think a lot of the people from Survivor have TikTok. So like I would check those out because they're making, fun videos. They're not very Survivor TikTok is not very big, I'll say. At Big Brother TikTok, but Big Brother TikTok, even it's like it's still getting used to like having the fandom on TikTok. Twitter's where you want to go if you want to have a headache, but Reddit, I guess, for discussion. I don't know. Honestly, eventually they'll just become shit posts of, oh, I hate Shan because she has like bad style. And I'm like, what even are we doing?
Like they literally have like 2 shirts. Like what?
Like Evie's been in those rainbow like boxer shorts this whole season. You're not going to see anything else. Like they don't get other clothes.
Like this is not Big Brother. This is not the real world. They didn't bring a suitcase.
Honestly, I kind of like Shan's overalls.
Yeah, me too. I don't mind if people don't like them. They're mad about it.
I was just saying like they'll literally be mad over like anything. The whole the whole alliance, the core 4, like, which probably won't even be a thing. So like at this point they're gonna turn on each other, but I don't know. Crazy. I don't really have much else to say. Like
it's just it's hard coming off of this last week's episode to this week's episode. And then this week's episode was giving. And then the end just with the edit and
it fell flat.
Tiffany leave, it just didn't give what it was supposed to be giving.
It wasn't giving.
We're in limbo right now, but we're still freaking loving it. They finally announced the date of Celebrity Big Brother.
February 2nd, which means we still have 2 months.
But it's coming because tomorrow the Challenge All-Star Season 2 premieres on Paramount Plus. So we have stuff going on.
Not to mention, we heard that The Amazing Race Season 33 will be premiering in January.
Listen, January, it's my birthday, it's the new year, new life, The Amazing Race. If you want.
And then also we're going to be covering Big Brother VIP if we can find it. I know that Australian shows can be a little difficult to find, but I have my ways. Big Brother VIP, which features Caitlyn Jenner and Omarosa, that already I'm gonna watch. Like
to see it. So hope it's
all of that.
If you want to hear us ramble about it, give our 2 cents because everyone's opinion matters. Like, comment, share, subscribe.